Hello, welcome to Yoga Rocks. I'm here with Coral Brown. We're going to talk a little bit about energy, or prana if you like. Because the yoga Coral teaches is called Prana Flow. So just let's start by talking a little bit about prana, what it is.
Okay, prana is usually translated as breath. And with all Sanskrit terms, they can translate to a more literal English term, but it doesn't really represent the fullness of the meaning. So if we were to look more deeply, prana is, the next person might say, life force. Just taking the word force, the force, may the force be with you. It reminds me, I love Star Wars, that all-pervading network or consciousness or subtleness that is what we all breathe and offer, and it's an exchange. That's more of the subtle term of prana. It's also how it acts on nature and in us, in our nature. So in Prana Flow, we use the movements of prana as a way to find alignment in the poses. We call it, Shiva's created this terminology, energetic alignment. My teacher, Shiva, right?
I think I've heard of it.
Yes, she's. So this prana, the panchavayus, are the 5 ways that the breath moves. Very simple, up and down, in and out. So when we take a breath, our collarbones, our ribs, our shoulders expands up and out. And then when we release the breath, it goes down and in. When we're speaking, the breath is going up and out, the direction of the breath. So these 5 different movement patterns we can feel and see now in our physical body, but we can also see and feel them all around us. The way animals move in nature, the way the waves are formed, peak, the way they release, the way you can witness the wind or the prana in the trees or on the waves or on your skin. So recognizing and connecting with not only one another but with nature, and realizing that our nature and the nature around us are of one another. So prana is the network that holds everything together, in a few words.
And so you just about talked about it really, but if you're new to yoga and people are talking about energy or prana or feel the flow or anything like that, what's the best way to start to connect with that in your practice?
In your physical practice, the best way to connect with prana, and from a prana flow teaching perspective, is to feel like the density of the poses. Certain poses have more weight to them. That would be the downward or grounding movement of prana. Other poses feel very buoyant and light, so that's the lifting movement. But then realizing that you need to be able to combine them to create balance. So you root down so that you can rise up. Like if you were to jump or throw a ball, you first coil in, you have to contract so you can expand. And that can be more on a subtle level, more on an emotional level, that you start to realize, okay, like the bow and arrow. The bow gets pulled back. Sometimes we feel like we're being drawn backwards, but really we have to kind of pull back a little bit to launch forward. So in the physical, like the simplistic nature of the physical practice, starting where you are and just feeling how, like a pose like chaturanga, the low push-up pose, is a lot of low, heavy energy. So if we add, like increases like, if we add to that heavy energy, we're going to collapse. So we summon the lifting movement of prana and the radiating movement of prana to find balance, because that's what the yoga is. It's balance, right? So it's finding the different recipe of these up, down, in and out in all the different poses. So it kind of becomes like a little laboratory for you to explore and get the just rightness, like the Goldilocks.
And then slowly that starts to work subtler on a
More subtle.
emotional level.
Yeah. I call it putting on your pranic goggles, and I usually have everybody do this. But it is, once you have this awareness, the microcosm, the macrocosm, you feel it in your body, you see it in the way other people hold their bodies, and you see it in nature, and then every breath, every time I take a breath, I can be conscious and be mindful of how it's moving in my body. And it may not just, it's going, to the lungs, so the breath is just coming to here, but the nourishment that rides on the breath is going through our whole body. It's coursing through our whole being. So it helps us to then collect this connection and collective consciousness. Connect, not collect, yeah.
So feeling other people's prana, possible?
Yeah, so when you say, sometimes it's new agey when you say, I feel the energy of that.
Yeah.
It's really, when it comes down to its matter, it's the actual principle physics of energy itself, of atoms and molecules, and then energy, matter goes on and on and on. And yes, you can absolutely feel sometimes, depending on how subtle or dense you might be energetically, you might feel someone's energy, and maybe it's just the feeling state they give off. It's heavy, or it's light, or it's dynamic, or it's stagnant, expansive, contractive, right? These are all the same terms, just now applied to personality types or feeling states. And so, we feel that energy when we go to certain places. You feel like it vibrates in a certain way, or you just resonate with it, and that's all, dynamics and physics and feeling. Really, I love the evidence-based theories when you can apply them then to what people would dismiss sometimes as being New Age, when you just throw the word energy around, but it really is.
That's
it's
why I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, it has a much more scientific background if you just change the word from energy to matter.
Yeah.
So
the subtle stuff can become quite tangible if you just give it a little bit of space.
Exactly, give it space to float around in and observe it, witness it. Instead of judging, observe and then inquire, and just sit with it. Allow it to kind of reveal itself to you.
Nice.
Shift your perspective.
Perfect. Thank you, Coral. I hope
Thank
that
you.
helps if you just kind of starting to encounter these concepts in your yoga practice, and hopefully that just kind of opens it up a little bit for you. All right, perfect. That's it from Yoga Rocks today. Thank you very much, Coral.
Namaste.
Brown. Namaste.
Come to Yoga Rocks. It rocks.
Thank you, Coral.
Thank you.